If you were going to sum up this report, you could perhaps sum it up in the phrase, it's good at the top. That's certainly the feeling you get from looking at this. And this is a report by Oxfam. It's an annual report. But look at this. This is their takeaway headline from this year's report. They say the wealth of the top 26 billionaires is equivalent to the entire wealth of 50% of the poorest people. So we're talking there, 26 billionaires own the same amount of wealth, have the same amount of wealth as 3.8 billion people. The people at the top, the wealth, well, it's rising. And let's just have a look at this as well. Over the last decade, Oxfam say the number of billionaires has doubled in size, looking at just over the last decade. And of course, just edging now into 2019. Now, this report goes further to say the wealthiest are getting even wealthier and that this will have a knock-on effect, not just in developing countries, developing nations, but also in Europe, where there's, of course, developed countries, but still facing these kind of problems about inequality. So the Executive International Director of Oxfam spoke to Euronews from Davos and gave her take on what this all means for Europe.
What we are seeing is that this neglect of public services and the failure to tax rich companies and rich individuals is driving people angry, is fueling public anger. We are seeing people on the streets in Europe. We are seeing populists capturing the anger of the population and taking it in wrong directions. In fact, we are seeing our democracies being undermined by this extreme inequality.
Now, it is worth saying Oxfam's takeaway from this, they want a 1% wealth tax. They want to clamp down on tax evasion. But this report is controversial. Its methodology is controversial. Obviously, we haven't got time to go into the details here, but people like the Institute of Economic Affairs saying the way they calculate wealth here in terms of the global picture, the takeaways, ever so slightly, you've got to take them with a pinch of salt. But let's move away then from that report to basically the headline in another report here. Bloomberg saying, well, actually, looking at the numbers about the billionaires, can't argue with this. The wealth of the billionaires attending Davos, their wealth has soared in the last decade. These are the men and the very powerful figures there at that summit. So you can see how this seems to be presented as a gathering of the wealthy, regardless about, the Oxfam report. It's got people talking. And I just want to, if I might, bring up one of the points here from Anand, who's quite critical. He says Davos is like having a load of arsonists talking about firefighting. The idea being the architects of the global system, which is, in his words, flawed, are getting together to talk about how to fix it. And they're doing that in a luxury resort miles away from ordinary people. You can see, Jeanette, how it might have a slight image problem, if nothing else.